Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my Daily Dose with Tim. Today is season 3, episode 56. And it's really interesting because I somehow keep on getting feedback, and it redirects some of the topics that I really want to continue on with you. However, as promised, the entire purpose and the whole purpose really of the entire season of my Daily Dose with Tim is to make sure that I also do answer your questions. And some of you guys have called this group mentoring, and you've really enjoyed it. And so I really appreciate that. And especially coming out of last week where I was pretty sick and turned out it was bronchitis. So yeah, anyways, so it's been great to really finally recover. I'm feeling about 95% now today. So thank you for bearing with me throughout the last week, and I really appreciate it. At the same time, I still hope that you took some great nuggets and great value out of the last few episodes, even though I was quite sick. And so on that note, last week, here and there, I did hop into a few meetings and coaching calls that the strategy coaches have been doing with some students. And I realized that this is one of the questions that keep coming up, is the fact that they don't understand exactly how they can get to their financial goal. And the funny thing is, I think this is the whole point of why we do what we do, as in why Trust Your Talent exists, why the coaches, mentors, and trainers on the team are so passionate about paying it forward and sharing our lessons and experiences. Why? Because it is really, really, really simple to figure out exactly what it is that you need so that you can walk away from any sort of financial distress and create your own financial independence and financial freedom. And so I remember this is the math that really I somehow one day kind of hit me a few years back when I was on a mentorship with a student. And ever since then, I've been using it to really guide my students and our community as a result. So I really want to share that with you. And some of you, I know, even though you've been with Trust Your Talent for a few months, a year or so, you're going, wow, you know what, Tim, a lot of the things that I've heard you say like 3, 4, 5, 10 times now. And now that I've done the training, now that I've done my mentorship, now that I've got a couple of deals under my belt, what you're saying now is hitting me differently. And that's awesome, because that's exactly what this is meant to be, because growth never takes a day off. And I always say that it's no different than reading a book, watching a TV show, watching a movie. When you come back and revisit it the second, the third time, you're going to notice some of the subtle details that you didn't pick up the first time. And not only that, is the fact that when you're hearing and watching the exact same thing over and over again, because of your own life experiences, and in this particular case, investing journey, you're going to take away different nuggets and have different aha moments from it. And that's also one of the main reasons why I continue to create my Daily Dose with Tim, because so many of you are going, this is so helpful. Even though it didn't hit the first time, it sort of hit the second time, and now it is definitely helping me. And I just really want to prove to everybody that it really is a journey, and we are here. We are here when you need us, and we understand that this is not a journey for everybody. Even maybe it is, and maybe it's not now. And time is everything, and timing is also vitally crucial. However, coming back to today's episode, I really wanted to share with you how simple it is. And just remember, though, we always talk about simple versus easy. Even though it's simple to understand, simple to make sense, however, is it easy to implement? Execution, implementation is really where most people fall short on. Okay, and this is why we're here once again, to offer that support. I had a mentor that said to me once, what do you think you actually bought into years ago? And I said, well, the education. And he goes, no, what you really are buying is support, support, support. Everybody needs that support and guidance. However, what I really want to do is take it to the next level, as everybody at Trust Your Talent already knows, is the individual support. Because how can this be a one size fits all? Because in general, everybody, yes, wants to make some more money, have a bit more options in life. However, everybody is different and their goals at the end of the day might still be a little different. However, you know what? You can see I'm always very passionate about this, and just because I really want to create the right context and really provide perspectives for everybody. So coming back here now, how much do you actually need? And what I mean by that is, how big of a portfolio do you actually need to build? Okay. And so this is a different way of calculating those numbers. And as a result, it gives you the clarity and then work backwards one more time. It's no different than Olympic athletes. Everything is visualization and you plan the steps backwards. And that's how it happens here too. And I hope that once you actually finish this episode, you're going to go, that was actually quite simple. And that's the whole point, once again, is that it's simple. And yet, if you're willing to seek the help and the guidance and the support to really help you get there in a timely manner, then that's where you get ahead. Again, I have no doubt that you're smart enough and you are capable enough to make it on your own. And what I'm saying here is it's really about collapsing timeframes. Why would you want to wait for 10, 20 years to accomplish something that you could have done in 2 to 5 years? That's the whole point behind all of this. And so let's put it this way. I'm going to use Canadian numbers once again, just because I'm Canadian now and I live in Canada and the majority of our audiences are Canadian. However, the math is exactly the same. And this is why I keep saying everything that I'm training you and that I'm sharing with you is all really, in my opinion, common sense now when it comes to practicing financial education. I want to hear that again. When it comes to practicing financial education, okay? And so the idea behind this is that the thought process is universal and it's applicable. It doesn't matter which country you're in, okay? So get that clarity for yourself. Doesn't matter where you're from. So first thing first, I'm just going to use Canadian numbers. An average household right now has a monthly expense of anywhere between $4,500 to about $8,500 these days. So that number, give and take a few $100s. However, what I'm going to do is I am going to say $6,000, okay, in our example today. I know throughout the season, I've used different numbers as well. At the same time, if you journey back, you can see everything is about the thought process, because your situation might be different. I might have done $4,500 at one point and you go, that's my number. And some of you guys are looking at $6,000 a month and going, that's my number. And maybe later on, when I do another episode where I use $10,000 a month, you'll go, yeah, that's more like my numbers right now. So here's the thing. So this means average household expenses, okay? I'm a big fan of getting yourselves personally out of the rat race first before we talk about building your giant empires, okay? So many people want to call themselves empire buildings when they have zero clue about how to even fix their personal situation first. And so I'm a big believer of starting small, because when you have extras, then you can overspill. You can now help as many people as you want to help. Okay. However, take care of your bases, build your foundation first. Okay. Because again, it feels like one of those situations where I really learned from one of my therapy sessions over the last couple of decades now is so many people focus on fixing other people's problem, not because they got big hearts, but because of the fact that in helping others, they do not have to look at their own problems. As a result, fix their own problems first. That's hitting home a little bit for some of you, I'm pretty sure. And it's the same thing. It doesn't matter if it's emotional challenges or financial challenges. So let's come back here and take a look at this. You can see now, season 3, I'm getting a lot more real with you. It's not all rainbows and butterflies. I'm still a positive person, I think. And I just want to make sure that nobody falls into any sort of traps, because I know ever since COVID happened, the entire real estate investing industry has somehow got morphed into something that's, in my opinion, quite delusional. And people are forgetting about the basis of why we even want to start to learn how to invest in the first place, which is, once again, learn how money works. And this, as you can see, I haven't even talked about real estate yet. This is about how money works. So let's come back here. If $6,000 on a monthly basis is your average monthly household expenses. And so what I will want to do is, first thing first, I want to do this, so that times 12 months, that means on an annual basis, you need $72,000. Okay. And so I want to do a giant disclaimer here right now, because it all ultimately depends on your purchase structure, your corporate structure that you end up setting up, because that will definitely add to your bottom line here. For example, right here in Canada, when you get a corporation set up, typically it's anywhere between $1,200 to $1,800, depending on what you plan to do with that corporation, first of all, and how many properties, what kind of properties you're holding within it. And more importantly, if you're looking to leverage other people's inactive and underutilized money to help you build that portfolio. So with that said, today, what I'm going to do is I am going to make a couple of assumptions, which I think really are quite, what's the word I'm looking for? Quite relevant to most people's situation. And if for nothing else, this was technically my situation also, regardless of the fact that we had decent 6-income JOBs. And so I'm going to multiply it by 2. First of all, why? Because I'm going to assume that everything that I'm doing is done based on a 50-50 joint venture relationship. Okay, if I need to make $72,000 a year in order to get out of the rat race or declare financial independence, again, we haven't even talked about strategies and the types of property yet. Okay, that is the number. And so now we have a new number to work with. That's $144,000. And let's just assume that within that structure, you need at least 3 different OPM partners. Okay, so other people's money or other people's inactive and underutilized money. So 3 of them, I always say, as I mentioned, $1,200 to $1,800 to just get it set up. And on an annual basis, you got to remember to do your annual filing for both the legal side as well as the accounting side. And so I'm going to do a sidebar here. Okay. So sidebar here is, I hope you can see this, legal. So I'm going to say upfront, I'm going to do an average of $1,500. Okay. And then plus annual filing. So what that means is roughly about 300 to 450. That's what I've seen so far, coast to coast in Canada here. So I'm going to do the higher end of 450. Okay. And then plus I'm going to say accounting. I'm going to round it up just so that it's an easy, clean number to work with. So this means, so this is legal. And then this is accounting. So that's another 2,000. Okay. So when you add this up, that's 3,500 and you have 3 money partners. Okay. So what that really means is you have 3,500 times 3, which is 10,500. So now another new number, 10,000. Okay. And then 500 equals 154,500. And so if you've had a chance to go back to season 2 and look at the income properties module already, when we were walking through all the expenses, we tend to budget in on a per building basis, especially if they are multis. Okay, especially if they're multis, we tend to budget in these expenses in there. So make sure you don't duplicate, or rather make sure you do duplicate. Why? Remember, I always like to overestimate my expenses so that at the end of the year, at the end of every month, when you have extras, that's just like finding money in your dryer, right? So 154,500. So let's keep going here. If on a per annum basis, this is what we need. Okay, this is now where you actually get to bring back in your circle of wealth. And this is why it is so important to make sure that you understand this concept. And that's why almost every season now I've referenced it. I've created episodes specific about the wheel of wealth or circle of wealth, depends on what you like to call it, and how you actually fill all of your income buckets here. Okay. So if you remember, and if you don't, this just tells me that you might have to pause this episode and go back and restart from this season, okay? Episode 1 or starting episode 2. Episode 1 was basically me doing a reintroduction of my Daily Dose with Tim for season 3. So I have no problem if you want to skip episode 1, but start back up with season 3, episode 2. And so coming back here now, you want to do it this way, okay? And so what do you want to contribute and how do you want to contribute to that number? I'm going to give you a very quick way of calculating this, okay? So I'm going to say, assuming that perhaps you are in a situation where, you know what, you really just wanted to start investing in real estate because you have a decent job, you don't love it, you don't hate it at this point, you're making decent money, but you just really want to start to accumulate wealth at the same time building passive income. And so as a result, after the training and your mentorship, you figure out, okay, you know what, I am okay if my average blended cash on cash return, okay, I want you to hear that very clearly, average blended cash on cash return. So what does that mean? Right now, it means I am taking away portfolio. That's going to make this math a lot harder, by the way, which means whatever number we get at the end of the day, actually, it should be and will be easier to achieve. Okay. Rewind back and listen to that one more time. And we're not going to take active income into account. If we do, that number, once again, will be a lot easier for us to accomplish as well. So let's just say that we have an average blended cash on cash, okay, of 8% after stabilization, okay, after stabilization. Cash on cash. Now I want you to take out your calculator and figure out just exactly how much capital do you need working for you and your partners. So 154,500 divided by 0.08. Okay, so 154,500 divided by 0.08. That is, you get a number at 1.931250. That is nearly $2 million. $2 million in capital working for you. Okay. For some of you, you're going, I don't know where I'm going to find $2 million. For some of you, you might be going, wow, that is really simple. That is really straightforward. Why? Because maybe you're in high value markets. You're just starting to learn how to leverage your, for example, home equity line of credit. Or if you go back to one of the episodes where I did, oh, OPM, where are thou? Okay, I think that was probably episode 51 on the day that I was not very clear or very sick. Regardless, as you can see now, it becomes so streamlined. And so when you're not working with your coach or with your mentor, your first business goal is to make sure that you gain access to $2 million, And now when we do your S&P strategy call, you are now able to figure out how you're going to deploy your $2 million. And this is why I want to share something with you again. Another mentor of mine, you can see, like, I'm such a big fan of getting coaches and mentors to really help me grow and collapse time frame. And for example, Vince Lee, one of the strategy coaches on the Trust Your Talent team, in his past life, he was a very accomplished personal trainer and physiotherapist, and he has a full background in kinesiology. And so I remember when I first started training with him, within 3 months, I saw more results and better results in my physique and my overall health than doing YouTube videos, doing my DVDs, and just going to the gym and play with the equipment myself for 16 years. Okay, 3 months, I got better results than doing it myself for 16 years. And so this is why, again, when you know how to get somewhere in a timely manner, it just makes it so much better, especially the fact that we're talking about money. We're talking about money. You don't want to trade your time for money, especially 10, 20, 30 years. When there are ways to get there faster, you gotta learn to take it. There's no ego here. Okay. And so one of the things that one of my mentors asked me earlier also, and I may have shared this already in previous seasons too, is do you want to be old and rich, or do you want to be young and rich? Again, I don't know what science is going to come up with, or the medical industry. However, as far as we know, time is the only non-renewable resource that we all have access to. And the funny thing is that we all pretty much have equal access to. There's only one of us and 24 hours a day to accomplish what we want to accomplish. And in some cases, what we need to accomplish so that we can start to live the life that we want, make this life a meaningful one. Okay. And so I really, really would encourage you to reach out to one of the strategy coaches and let them know that you watched season 3, episode 56, and you want to get your own personalized plan started. Okay. So this was really inspired by hopping on some of the coaching calls last week, and because I couldn't really contribute much, so I just listened, and I find that this is probably one of the most important episodes that I've done. I mean, I say that about quite a few episodes. However, you can see this has nothing to do with, hey, how do you acquire multifamily building? It has nothing to do with that, because that is just all tools. Okay, that's the thing. You can have a giant bag of tools, but if you don't know what you want to build, really, you're not going to get there in a timely manner or build it at all. And vice versa, if you have a clear goal and yet you lack the proper tools to get there, you're also not going to get there or in a timely manner or get there at all. And so with that said, I'm going to be posting the link in the comments section so that for those of you who are not in the TYT community yet, there's no obligation. However, do yourself a favor. Make that appointment, speak to a strategy coach, and get your plan started. So with that said, thank you so very much for joining me again today and for putting up with me being sick last week. I really, really appreciate it. And once again, if you've got any questions, any feedback, make sure you get back to me. And I know a lot of you told me, thank you very much for walking you through the deal analysis process and the fact that I did say, no, don't do it. So the person that actually sent me the deal, they also decided to walk away from it. And when they presented their thought process, which they admittedly said it was basically how I analyzed the deal with their realtor, all of a sudden their realtor got a big aha as well. And now the realtor is learning how to work with this person better. And so this is it. It is not to say that all deals are bad. It's just to say that it's about an alignment. Are there still people that are going to be doing buy, rent, and pray, or they don't focus on how much it's going to make them? They just want to park the money. Of course, there will always be. However, is that you? And if that's not you, then you stick with me and you stick to my daily dose with Tim, and I will walk you through the thought process and the success path of an educated investor. So enjoy the rest of the day and the rest of the week. I want to remind you that I will be ending season 3 at episode 60, which is this Friday at the end of this week. So stick with me and I will see you back here at the next episode. Live well, everybody.